What happens when one of Hollywood's biggest stars sits down for what should have been a fun, lighthearted chat, only for it to spiral into one of the most uncomfortable moments in daytime TV history? The Kelly Clarkson Show has always been known for warmth, laughter, and genuine conversation. But during Channing Tatum's appearance, that friendly image cracked in spectacular fashion. Before we dive into the jaw-dropping exchange that left the audience in stunned silence, make sure to hit subscribe and drop a comment with your take, because trust me, you'll have strong opinions after this one. At first, everything seemed normal. Kelly welcomed Channing with her signature smile. The crowd cheered, and he took his seat across from her. The mood was light, easy, familiar. She began with a simple question about his latest film, a project fans had been buzzing about for months. Channing spoke openly about the creative process, the challenges of the role, your usual press tour talking points. But then Kelly's tone shifted. She leaned in, expression sharpening. She brought up a years-old interview where Channing had made some raw comments about fame, the industry, and how it strains personal relationships. Normally, a host might use that as a gateway to talk about growth or change. But Kelly didn't go that route. She pressed harder. She asked if he still stood by those old words, or if back then he just said what he needed to say to protect his image. Her phrasing had bite. You could feel the tension. Channing hesitated just a beat longer than expected, and when he finally responded, his easygoing charm had vanished. He said it was interesting that she'd dig that up. Of all the things they could discuss, she chose that. His tone wasn't angry yet, but a wall was clearly going up. Kelly didn't back down. She said it was relevant, that audiences deserve to know whether public figures truly believe what they say or if it's all performance. That word performance landed hard. Channing leaned back, processing. Then he shot back quietly. Everyone in this business performs to some degree, including talk show hosts. That's not dishonesty. It's just understanding the medium. The studio fell silent. Kelly's smile tightened. She tried to pivot, bringing up how he'd once said authenticity was his top priority. Then, with almost surgical calm, she asked, "Do you feel you're being authentic right now, or is this another performance?" The question cut deep. Channing's jaw tightened. He asked what she was really trying to prove, saying he came there to connect with fans, not to be interrogated. Kelly insisted she wasn't attacking him, that her job was to dig deeper, to find something real beyond the promo talk. But Channing wasn't convinced. He accused her of framing the questions to make him look bad, steering the interview into territory that had nothing to do with why he was there. Kelly's tone hardened. "If you can't handle questions about your own statements," she said, "maybe you need to reconsider doing interviews at all." The air froze. Channing leaned forward, voice low but sharp. "I can handle any question you throw at me," he said. "But I won't sit here and be disrespected in front of millions of people." He accused her of twisting his words, taking things out of context on purpose. Kelly fired back that she hadn't twisted anything. "If this makes you uncomfortable," she said, "maybe that's something you need to look at within yourself." The studio stayed dead quiet. The tension between America's sweetheart and Hollywood's golden boy had turned into a live televised standoff. The exchange was spiraling fast. Both Kelly and Channing had drawn their lines, neither willing to yield or de-escalate. Channing took a slow breath, visibly trying to steady himself. But the frustration was right there, just beneath the surface. His voice tightened as he said he'd done hundreds of interviews in his career, sat across from countless hosts, and never once felt ambushed like he did now. There was a way to ask hard questions, he said, without crossing into disrespect. This isn't that. Kelly's eyes flashed. Her smile disappeared. She said she found it fascinating that a man who built his career playing tough guys and heroes was suddenly playing the victim because she'd asked him to defend his own words. That line landed like a grenade. Channing's jaw flexed. The frustration turned into anger. "That's a cheap shot," he said quietly but firmly. He told her reducing his entire career to macho stereotypes was lazy and unfair. "Those are characters, fiction. I've never claimed to be that guy in real life. If you can't separate the person from the performance, that says more about your interview style than it does about me." The audience froze. You could feel them questioning whether this was still entertainment or something real unraveling on live TV. Kelly leaned back, crossing her arms. Her voice was cool, sharp. "Are you always this defensive when someone pushes back? Because I've interviewed plenty of stars who can handle direct questions without falling apart." Channing let out a harsh, humorless laugh. "I'm not falling apart," he said. I'm calling it like it is. You're not having a conversation. You're trying to manufacture a moment. You want drama? I'm not your storyline. Kelly's tone rose, her practiced calm beginning to crack. If anyone's creating drama here, it's you, she shot back. I asked simple, legitimate questions. You turned it into this. Channing shook his head. That's revisionist history happening right in front of us. From the moment I sat down, you steered this toward conflict. And now you're trying to make me the villain for noticing it. The back and forth quickened, raw, overlapping, tense. Kelly said she was doing exactly what her audience expected. Being real, being authentic, not just tossing softballs. Channing countered that there was nothing authentic about this exchange. It felt rehearsed, like she'd planned to corner him from the start. Did you come into this already deciding you'd make me uncomfortable? He asked. Kelly denied it immediately. I never come into interviews with an agenda, she said. All I want is a genuine conversation. Channing leaned forward, his tone low but fierce. Then explain how dragging up an old interview from years ago, something that has zero connection to what I'm doing now, is your idea of genuine conversation. Kelly replied that it provided context, that it showed growth or the lack of it. It gives the audience a fuller picture of who you are. Channing didn't buy it. No, he said flatly. It's a gotcha move, and we both know it. If you wanted to show the full picture, you could have asked about the good stuff. Fatherhood, charity, risk-taking, art. But no, you went straight for what would make me look bad. Kelly's voice went cold. I'm not going to apologize for asking hard questions, she said. If you can't handle the heat, maybe you should stick to puff pieces on morning TV. That was it. Channing rose from his chair, not dramatically, but with purpose. I'm done, he said. This stopped being an interview a long time ago. Kelly looked genuinely startled for the first time. Channing, sit down, she said quickly. We still have more to talk about. He shook his head. No, we don't. It's clear this conversation was never going to be productive. Kelly's tone softened, almost pleading now, though whether it was real or just damage control, no one could tell. You're overreacting, she said. We can move on. We don't have to stay stuck here. But Channing wasn't moved. The problem isn't the question, he said quietly. It's the intent behind it. The silence that followed was deafening. It wasn't just one question that broke him. It was the entire approach. The tone Kelly had set from the very beginning. Channing said he had tried to be gracious, tried to answer her questions honestly. But it didn't matter. She had already written her version of him long before he walked on that stage. Kelly stood up now, too. No longer the cheerful host, but an equal combatant. She said that was completely unfair, that she had given him every chance to explain himself, and he had chosen to be combative instead. Channing turned to face her directly, the tension thick in the air, his voice dropped low. I've been nothing but professional until you started taking shots at me, questioning my integrity, calling me fake. If you want to see combative, this still isn't it. But I won't sit here and smile while you tear me down. Kelly fired back, saying she had never tried to tear him down. That he was projecting his own insecurities onto a normal interview. That word insecurities hit like a spark in dry grass. Channing's expression darkened. You don't know anything about my insecurities, he said. You're making assumptions based on a 20-minute conversation. The arrogance it takes to psychoanalyze someone you just met is astounding. Kelly crossed her arms. I'm not psychoanalyzing anyone, she said tightly. I'm responding to what I'm seeing, and what I see is someone who can't handle being questioned. The studio fell utterly silent. The audience sat frozen, some glancing at each other, others staring ahead like they couldn't believe what they were witnessing. Channing broke the silence. You're wrong, he said. Being questioned isn't the problem. It's the hostility behind it. There's a difference between journalism and antagonism, and you crossed that line a long time ago. Kelly bristled. I resent that, she said. I've been professional this entire time while you've been the one growing aggressive. Channing gave a short, bitter laugh. If you think this is professional, then our definitions are galaxies apart. A professional interviewer makes their guest feel comfortable enough to open up. Not cornered until they shut down. Kelly's voice sharpened again. Maybe some guests need to be cornered. Sometimes discomfort leads to truth. Channing leaned in slightly, eyes locked on hers. And what truth do you think you're uncovering right now? What grand revelation do you get from trying to make me feel attacked? Kelly didn't flinch. I'm not trying to make you feel attacked, she said. I'm trying to get past the rehearsed answers, past the mask. Channing shook his head slowly. There is no mask. What you see is what you get. My image isn't managed. It's just who I am. The fact that you can't believe that says more about your cynicism than my authenticity. Not everyone in Hollywood is fake, Kelly. Not everyone's hiding something. Kelly's voice went colder. Then why are you being so defensive if you have nothing to hide? Channing's eyes flashed. Because I'm being attacked. That's a human reaction. You come at anyone the way you've come at me, and they'll respond the same way. Kelly shook her head. I've asked tough questions to plenty of people. None of them reacted like this. Channing gave a grim smile. Maybe they were just better at pretending. Or maybe you didn't push them this hard. The conversation was looping now, circling the same wound. Both of them entrenched in their positions. Kelly said she stood by every question, that they were fair and relevant. Channing countered that maybe they were fair in a different tone, in a different context, but the way she delivered them made them feel like attacks. Kelly asked why he was so focused on how she made him feel instead of what she was asking. Channing replied softly, because the how matters. Communication isn't just words. It's intent, tone, respect. Kelly straightened. I've shown you respect by taking you seriously enough to ask substantive questions. Channing shook his head. Respect isn't about asking hard questions. It's about actually listening. You weren't listening, Kelly. You were waiting for your next chance to pounce. Her voice hardened. I listened to every word you said. What I heard was evasion and deflection. Channing's tone went cold. What you heard was exactly what you wanted to hear. You came in with a narrative, and you forced every word to fit it. At that moment, movement rippled along the studio edges. Producers exchanging glances, crew members whispering, trying to figure out how to stop this train wreck from going live. Kelly noticed the motion, and for the first time, her confidence wavered. She seemed to suddenly remember this wasn't a private argument. This was live television. Millions were watching. Her voice softened, almost tentative. Maybe we've gotten off track, she said. Maybe we can take a breath, reset, and start over. But Channing only shook his head. You can't reset something like this, he said quietly. The damage is done. Everyone here saw it, how you came at me, how this went down. No amount of backtracking changes that. And with that, the silence in the studio became deafening. Kelly's voice was firm now, stripped of charm. I'm not backtracking, she said. I'm trying to salvage what's left of this interview. Channing shook his head slowly. There's nothing left to salvage. This stopped being an interview the moment you turned it into a fight instead of a conversation. Kelly's frustration was finally showing. Her tone hardened. I gave you every opportunity to have a good interview, she snapped. You sabotaged it with your attitude. Channing turned toward her, eyes steady. Rewriting history again, he said. You set the tone, Kelly. I came here ready for a real human conversation. And you turned it into an interrogation. If you think normal questions count as an interrogation, she fired back. That's your problem, not mine. Channing took a step toward the edge of the stage, pausing under the lights. I genuinely feel sorry for you, he said quietly. You've been given a platform, a voice, a chance to connect with people. This is how you use it, to create conflict. Kelly crossed her arms. I use my platform to hold people accountable, she said. To make sure celebrities don't just coast through on charm and talking points. Channing's reply was sharp. There's a difference between accountability and antagonism, and you can't seem to tell the two apart. Kelly tilted her head slightly. So, what do you want, Channing? An apology for me doing my job. He exhaled, weary now. I don't want anything from you. I just want to leave, he added, his voice steady but heavy. This has been one of the most unpleasant professional experiences I've had in years, and that includes some brutal film shoots. Kelly smirked slightly. Hard to believe being asked a few tough questions ranks up there with that. It's not the questions, he said. It's the setup, the tone, the complete lack of good faith. Kelly's reply was instant. I've been nothing but good faith. You're the one who came in hostile. Channing's tone dropped an octave. Now you're gaslighting me, he said. Everyone in this room saw what happened. You don't get to rewrite it. Kelly folded her arms tighter. The audience can decide for themselves who's being reasonable. Oh, I'm sure they will, Channing said, eyes narrowing. And I'm confident in what they'll see. Kelly stepped closer. If you're that confident, she said coldly, then sit back down. Finish the interview. Prove you can handle a real conversation. Channing shook his head. I've got nothing left to prove. My work speaks for itself. This circus doesn't change that. Kelly's expression turned sharp again. Walking away only makes you look worse. It proves everything I said, that you can't handle pressure. That stopped him. He turned back toward her, eyes narrowing. Fascinating, he said. Now you're trying to manipulate me into staying by threatening my reputation. That's exactly what someone acting in bad faith would do. Kelly stiffened. I'm not manipulating you, she said. I'm stating reality. If you walk off, people will see it as running away. I'm not running, Channing said. I'm walking away from something toxic. There's strength in knowing when to stop engaging with something that isn't serving anyone. Kelly fired back. It's serving my audience. They deserve to see how you handle yourself under pressure. Channing's reply was cold and final. Your audience deserves better than to watch you berate your guests for entertainment value. Kelly's face flushed red. I have never berated you, she snapped. You were asked questions and you fell apart. Channing's voice cut through the silence. Stop lying, Kelly. Stop pretending this didn't happen right in front of everyone. The cameras caught it all. The footage will speak for itself. Kelly glared back. Good, she said. Let them watch. It'll vindicate me completely. Channing gave a small, bitter laugh. If you honestly believe that, you're more delusional than I thought. The insult hung in the air like a crack of thunder. Kelly's expression hardened, her eyes going cold. Without another word, she turned toward the wings and made a sharp gesture. If you're not going to participate respectfully, she said icily, then maybe it's time you leave. Channing gave a dry laugh. I've been trying to leave, he said. You're the one who keeps pulling me back into this mess. Kelly's voice rose. Then leave the studio, Channing. This appearance is over. Fine by me, he said. Couldn't get out of here fast enough. But Kelly wasn't done. Her words followed him like a blade. I tried to give you a fair platform, she said. You made it impossible. Channing stopped for a brief moment and turned his head slightly. The only thing you tried, he said, was to make me look bad to get a headline, a viral clip, a ratings bump. The producer stood frozen, glancing nervously between Kelly and Channing, clearly wishing to be anywhere else, but caught in the middle of this storm. Channing gave a faint, weary smile. Don't worry, he told the producer. I'm leaving on my own. No escort needed. Kelly crossed her arms. I just want to make sure you leave without causing any more disruption. Channing turned sharply. What disruption? The only thing I've done is defend myself from your attacks. Kelly shot back immediately. Your entire demeanor has been disruptive. You turned what should have been a pleasant conversation into this. Channing's laugh was low, disbelieving. No, Kelly, you turned it into a disaster. I just responded to what you created. Kelly's voice rose slightly. You need to take responsibility for your own behavior instead of blaming everyone else. Channing nodded once. Right back at you. Maybe try taking responsibility for how you conducted yourself today. He paused, then added, This will follow you. People are going to see this and start wondering whether they want to sit in that chair next. Kelly smirked, brushing it off. I'm not worried. This show has a solid reputation. One difficult guest won't change that. Channing replied coolly. I wasn't the difficult one. Time will tell who the audience believes. The producer finally stepped forward, voice trembling. Maybe we should cut to commercial. Kelly ignored the suggestion. She kept her eyes on Channing. I've interviewed thousands of people, she said sharply, and almost all of them managed to have meaningful conversations. The common denominator here is you. Channing didn't flinch. No, he said. The common denominator is your approach, your tone, your refusal to engage with anyone but yourself. Kelly's patience snapped. She turned to the producer again. Have him removed, she said louder this time. Channing lifted his hands slightly. No need for dramatics. I'm already leaving. He started toward the exit, then turned back one last time. I hope you reflect on this someday, he said. Ask yourself if this is really the kind of interviewer you want to be. Kelly didn't blink. I know exactly what kind of interviewer I am, and I'm proud of it. Channing exhaled slowly. That's the saddest part, he said. If you can't even see the problem, then nothing I say matters. Kelly's reply was cold. The only problem I see is your inability to handle basic scrutiny. Channing's tone was steady, but there was steel in it. I can handle scrutiny. What I don't tolerate is disrespect disguised as journalism. Kelly shot back. I'm not a journalist. I'm a talk show host. And if you'd understood the difference, maybe this wouldn't have gone so wrong. Channing nodded. Journalist or host doesn't matter. The principles are the same. Respect and good faith. Two things missing here today. Kelly snapped. Respect is earned, Channing. Not given just because you're famous. He gave a tired half smile. I never asked for special treatment. Just basic human decency. Apparently, that's too much to expect. Kelly shook her head. I showed you decency. You threw it back in my face. Channing's voice softened, but his words cut deep. Your version of decency is unrecognizable. From the corner of the set, 2 security guards appeared. Uneasy, reluctant. Channing noticed and let out a short laugh. Perfect, he said. Security, just what you needed to cement your story that I'm the problem. Kelly's reply was clipped. I'm taking precautions. Your behavior has been unpredictable. Channing turned, smiling bitterly. The only unpredictable thing here is how far you'll go to paint yourself as the victim of a situation you created. Kelly pointed toward the exit. Your time's up, Channing. He paused, then said quietly. My time was up the moment I realized what kind of interview this was going to be. Then he turned to the audience. I'm sorry you had to see this, he said sincerely. This isn't what anyone came here for. Kelly cut in sharply. Now you're manipulating the audience, trying to win them over with false sympathy. Channing didn't even look back. There's nothing false about it, he said. I genuinely feel bad that this is how it ended. And with that, he walked off stage. Kelly stood still for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then, turning back toward the camera, she forced a strained smile. We'll take a quick break, she said tightly. And we'll be right back. But the tension in her voice gave her away. The studio lights dimmed, the cameras cut, and the audience remained in stunned, absolute silence. So, what do you think really caused this explosion between Kelly Clarkson and Channing Tatum? Was Kelly just doing her job, or did she go too far? Did Channing overreact, or was he right to walk away? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for updates on this story and more behind-the-scenes Hollywood moments that nobody else is talking about.